The Honourable Mary Ann Street.
Thank you very much, Mr Chairman. I rise to take a call on these clauses 1 and 2. It's worth restating the significance of this legislation, as I have mentioned in previous contributions, Mr Chairman. But the thing that is becoming increasingly apparent as these speeches unfold is a point I referred to earlier, which was that this is only the beginning of something that could be a substantial rethink of the way we actually administer the government in this country and administer those parts of government activity that are that receive government appropriation and therefore taxpayers' money. Mr Chairman, this bill will of course become 3 bills at the and will be the State Sector Amendment Bill, the Public Finance Amendment Bill and the Crown Entities Amendment Bill. In each of those respects, Mr Chairman, it takes us further along. It takes us further towards an integrated system of administration. We have administered government for the last umpteen decades in this country according to siloed portfolios, and people have made a lot of the fact that this is a course of action that's probably run its time, and I think that this presents a novel opportunity, but it is still just a small step in the direction of alternative ways of running government that could, in fact, deliver more integrated services to New Zealand citizens. As far as the State Sector Amendment Bill part of this legislation is concerned, I just want to reiterate one of the old principles, and I was put in mind of this by the Honourable Trevor Mallard's a discourse on the indivisibility of government. But this is that, in my view, the public service, the state sector, not only delivers the program of the democratically elected Parliament of the day, but it also acts as a buffer between executive power and the citizenry. So it is there as it has several things that it is charged to do. Of course it must implement the government's program, because one would assume that the government has been elected to implement the program. That is, of course, less decisive under MMP than it was under first past the post, and often we hear the government taking liberties with that notion of having been elected with an overwhelming mandate. Certainly, if a party goes to the polls saying they're going to sell state-owned assets and they get 40-something% of the vote, the party vote, even if it's 44% of the party vote, that is still not a majority in favour of that mandate. One would assume that if they wanted to really be honest about getting a mandate for a divisive policy such as the selling of state assets, that it would try to go for a 50% or more portion of the vote in order to be able honestly to say that they had a majority mandate for that policy. But the point behind this, Mr Chairman, is that the state service, the public service, has operated and accumulated knowledge and wisdom over time. Our public service is held in extremely high regard by all of those agencies that measure such things. So the integrity of our public service and its independence are critically important to our ability to score highly on the lack of corruption index and on the transparency index that governments are measured by around the world. It is in large measure, Mr. Chairman.
The Honourable Mary Ann Street.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It is in large measure that our reputation and our scoring highly on Transparency International's various indices, including the lack of corruption one, have us coming at first or first equal position in successive years. And I trust that this piece of legislation will actually enhance the operation of the government's departments and ministries so that integrated services, which are increasingly being seen as necessary, can be delivered for the effective provision of those services to New Zealand citizens. But I don't want to leave that point just yet about being a buffer between executive power and the rights of the state, of the citizens. I think the state service has sat there, the public service has sat there for a long time as a buffer between overwhelming and dictatorial executive power. There are things that government cannot do because of the rights and the structures that are in place in our democratic system, and that's how it should be. So, Mr. Chairman, this is important in that it changes the workings of the apparatus of government. So whether it's a Crown entity or whether it's reporting mechanisms, as in the public finance amendment part of this legislation, or, as I say, Crown entities in the Crown entity part of this legislation, the principle is the same. If we can begin to integrate appropriations and operations and accountabilities of government through these mechanisms, then that is to be applauded. I use again the example I used late last night of the appropriation for whānau ora. Being a health initiative, one would have thought that it could have come before the Health Select Committee for scrutiny. One could have thought that the Minister of Health would have been able to say to the Health Select Committee, this is how the appropriation around whānau ora has been expended, and these are the accountability mechanisms and the performance indicators around that appropriation. But no, because it's not something the Minister of Health was very fond of, it was sent out to the Minister of Māori Affairs and to Te Pōni Kōkiri, when really the people who had a serious interest in scrutinising that were not only the Māori Affairs Select Committee, but the Health Select Committee as well. So if there can be better ways of ensuring that both appropriations are reported on and accounted for and made more transparent by the provisions of what will become the Public Finance State Sector and Public Finance Reform Amendment Bill, then let's proceed with that. But let's not imagine that we are there yet. What we do need is a new way of looking at how to deliver integrated services. This is particularly apparent in health, but it is also really apparent in social development and that portfolio. It's very apparent there. It became apparent to us when we were delivering the Strengthening Families initiative that in fact numbers of organisations needed to be involved and engaged with the welfare of a particular family and a particular child. So not only did we need to have police and justice and corrections and education and health involved, but we needed to ensure that they were singing off the same page and they were able to deliver the services that that family needed at that time. And so, Mr. Chairman, I'm hopeful that this is the beginning of something new. As far as the Crown entities part of it is concerned, the more of those which talk to each other and which operate in conjunction with each other, the better. And this is simply a subset of that working across ministries and departments and other parts of the government. So, Mr Chairman, I welcome this bill and I look forward to what it may bring next.
Members, we come to the call, is it? The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Chairman, I want to thank you for giving me another call, even if it is slightly before when I thought I was going to have it.